This is Rat Pack Radio, the internet radio station that brings you everything from the top hits in music.
Hey guys, this is Bruno Mars.
To Sports Talk Radio.
With the first pick in the 2016 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Jared Goff, quarterback, California.
We are here for you, WRPR Rat Pack Radio. Come join the pack. Download the WRP Rat Pack Radio app on Google Play, BlackBerry, and the Apple Store. If you're streaming, you can stream us on TuneIn.com, Web Radio Central, or RatPackSports.com/RatPackRadio. The Underground, discovering hidden talent worldwide. Playing daily on Rat Pack Radio, WRPR. Come join the pack.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to...
You're listening to the Rat Pack Sports Show live on Rat Pack Radio, WRPR.
It's new, it's fresh, it's a slam dunk!
You're listening to Rat Pack Sports Show on WRPR Rat Pack Radio.
Blue, you're my boy! A genius. A man who has a reputation to be the best at what he does.
You see, a man has to realize his limitations. You don't know me, and you don't know what I'm capable of.
That was a heck of an effort.
This house is a prison, and the galaxy of this sucks.
I'm free enough.
This battle is over when I say it is over.
I will massacre you. Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Are you not entertained?
I'd say in a given week, I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work.
That's how I roll.
Offensive foul!
Hello? You play to win the game.
There's a drive. Way back. It could be.
This is my favorite part coming up right now.
All right. Rat Pack Sports Show. We are back. We are live. Rat Pack Radio, WRPR, streaming online, Rat Pack Sports, and also the Rat Pack Radio, WRPR app. We're in the building for another week. Wednesday night, bringing you the best airs in sports talk and entertainment for your ears. Online, RatPackSports.com, streaming on the Rat Pack Radio WRPR app. And you can also find our podcast on Podbean, RatPackSportsShow.podbean.com. And you can also find us on Spotify. You can find us on iHeart. And you can also find us, if you're an Apple user, can't get the Rat Pack Radio app, just go ahead and download the TuneIn app. You can find us on there. You can stream our shows. You can stream the station. You can listen to reruns. I don't know what more you can ask for. But we are here, man, Wednesday night, and last week there was so much going on. We didn't really get a chance to touch on everything. So this week is going to kind of be a continuation of last week's conversation. Big news in the NFL coming down like late in the afternoon. We also got our Final Four set for women's basketball and the men's basketball. And my bracket, we had four. Hold on. I think my bracket, I had North Carolina. Yeah, I had North Carolina in the Final Four. I had UConn in the Final Four. I had Purdue in the Final Four. And then out of the South, I had, was it Duke? Yeah, I had Duke in the Final Four. So Duke got knocked out in the Elite Eight by NC State. And so I got two out of the four picks correct for my Final Four bracket. So we'll get into that. We have, women's. I think the women's bracket is pretty much done. Their Final Four is set. And what I thought would happen, happened. See, I keep saying this. If I was a gambler, and I made bets, I would be in the plus side of my bets, because normally I'm right. So obviously South Carolina is, the favorite to win it all. They're the favorite to win it all. My Final Four would have been, and for some reason, I don't know why, but I thought I did a bracket for the women's. I might have did it and not completed it. But I had Iowa, South Carolina, Texas, and I want to say would have been UConn coming out. So I would have had three. I'd had three of the four games, three of the four teams correct in my women's bracket, which didn't get completed. So, which sucks. But my men's bracket is pretty good. My men's bracket is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. My men's bracket, I gotta sign up for fantasy baseball as well. So I'll do that during the show. But my men's bracket, where is it now? Goodness gracious. View bracket. Okay, so my men's bracket, I am, whenever it shows me, it won't even, right now it won't give me my bracket. That's not my bracket. Leaderboard. Should I go to lead? Oh, here it is. All right, so to be fair, like, again, I'm not like a crazy, better or anything like that. But right now, based with all the upsets and everything going on, I don't know how many people filled out brackets. But I'm going to take pride in this because, again, I don't know how many people filled out brackets. But I am in the top 3,089.1% or 730 points. And, I I guess that's good. I mean, 89 percentile. Yeah, that's good. I mean, the number one bracket is. I mean, I don't even see how this is possible. You got 1,180 points. With a max of 1820. So that means they got a nearly perfect bracket. I mean, near perfect bracket here. So, which is crazy. I mean, their whole East bracket. Oh, they missed the Drake Washington. So they picked Drake over Washington. So they got one game missed in the Eastern bracket. They got 2 total games missed in the South bracket. Got every single game correct in the Midwest bracket. And then the West bracket, they got three games. They the Nevada Dayton, they took Nevada, and they took Baylor over Clemson. Clemson beat them, and then they had Arizona beating Clemson, and Clemson beat Arizona. So they had Arizona over Baylor. So, but still, I mean, that's as close as to a perfect bracket you gonna get. And they actually had, obviously they got everything right. They had Alabama, UConn. They actually took UConn. I mean, this person here took Alabama to win it all, which is surprising because I haven't seen anything to even let me even ponder that UConn is going to lose. That is how dominant that UConn has been, that I'm not sure if they're going to even lose they're going to win a game under double digits. And you don't normally see that in college. When you get to the tournament, you normally don't see these type of beat downs where we're watching UConn just pretty much roll over the field. All right, no game has been under 10 points. So, it beat Stetson by 40, 90-52, 91-52. They beat Northwestern by 17. They beat San Diego State. Now, this is a 5th-ranked team, 5 seed. They beat them by 30. And then they turn around and beat a 3 seed in Illinois by 25. Alabama done had some nail biters. So we'll see. It's gonna be interesting. We'll see how this thing shake up. But we're gonna have William Graves calling here with us. Nicholas Lane is also gonna be calling in. So let me just send the message out. All right, so we're gonna have them calling in all day long, being in the app. Yeah, we're gonna have to have a discussion here with William Graves. Sometimes I don't know what this guy be thinking. But yeah, so tournament has been great, man. As it is every year, I watch a lot of basketball, but obviously you can't keep up with every single school and every single game during the college basketball season. It's not even possible. If you're out and about and busy, you don't have time to watch all them games. But I make sure that I tune into March Madness every year, and I fill me a bracket out. And this year hadn't disappointed, man. Honestly, it's been good. The games have been good, even the men's and the women's side. Obviously, personally, I feel like the women's tournament is a lot more, I'm not going to say competitive, but it's got a lot more flair to it than, the men's side, because, you have teams, great teams. You got rising players, coming up, like Juju for USC, and then you got, obviously, a healthy Paige Beckers for UConn. You got, LSU, and there's, whole team. Then you have South Carolina, best team in college, women's college basketball. Then you have Iowa with Caitlin Clark. Everybody's tuning in to see, what's going on with Caitlin Clark. They want to see her light it up. And she doesn't normally disappoint when she's on the court. And I think, it's been a good watch. The games has been very competitive. Close games, not a whole lot of blowouts. And, the entertainment value has been where it needs to be, obviously, for the viewership and things like that. The main thing, and I say it all the time, I enjoy, watching basketball, whether it's men, women, there's things that I look for fundamentally in the basketball that you can see in watching women's basketball that you don't necessarily see, watching men's basketball. They're more fundamentally sound, or at least they play that way. I'm not saying that the men's are not fundamentally sound, but they're more athletic, so they're gonna do athletic things. They're not gonna, rely on their fundamentals 10 out of 10 times, where, the girls may rely on their fundamentals, because you don't have, 40-inch verticals and people running up and down court at the speed of sound. So, it's a different game. But it's still enjoyed the same way. And to see, the attendance and the notoriety and the fanfare that is getting lets you know that, hey, women's basketball is, at least for college, is heading in the right direction, and hopefully this leads to the WNBA also starting to head in the right direction from a viewership standpoint, revenue, and all of that. Because at the end of the day, in professional sports, we see it with baseball, we see it with hockey, we see it with football, we see it with all the major sports. The more revenue you bring in, the more money you can negotiate for the players contractually. So if they can, fix that problem and get better attendance numbers and People feel like they're being entertained when they're watching the game. You'll see the numbers start to grow as far as what players can and cannot be paid on the women's side in the WNBA. What a lot of people don't know. We've been in this argument for a while. You've seen it with the soccer team where they, fought for equal pay with, in the World Cup, which, hey, why not, right? They're winning. They're pulling the revenue, and they should get the piece of the pot, that they deserve. So that was all justified. But when it comes to these individual leagues, you only get paid what you make. And, for a lot of years, the NBA has been fronting the bill for the WNBA. So hopefully we get to a point where they're not doing that and the WNBA is making their money. I would like to see an expansion, add a few more cities, and lengthen the season from 25 games to 40 or 45 or 50. But in order to do that, you're going to have to expand the league so you can have teams to fill those game slots, which I think it needs to be done. Not sure if it'll ever get done. We'll see. Again, comes down to revenue and what the league is making to be able to make that possible. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But I think Angel Reese declared for the draft this afternoon. Obviously, we knew Caitlin Clark was going in. That was no big deal. We had a few more players that declared for the draft. And let's see. Hold on, let me see something here. So, draft. What's funny is the WNBA draft is really in like 2 weeks, which is, it's just right after the, season is over with. Actually, it's next week. Next Monday, April 10th, which I think is weird. Like, the draft is literally in the middle of, right after the Final Four. And then after you have your draft, your season starts in May, which is like a month out. So they don't get a whole lot of time, like, these other leagues where NFL draft is in April. They don't start the season until September. Training camp start in July. In NBA, draft is in June. Season don't start until October. Hockey, same deal. They get about 4 or 5 months in between the draft and whatnot for the teams. So their season is a little bit shorter. Their off season is a little bit shorter. I'm trying to see something, but I want to see, like you watch you on ESPN and you see the page, and they don't really go into depth a whole lot, but I just want to see, I guess, a mock draft for maybe the top, the top players at their respective positions in the WNBA draft. So that's what I'm looking for. It's hard to find. I haven't found anything yet. Searching, nothing. So, yeah, so I was in this debate. With a friend of mine on Facebook, and we was talking girls, women's basketball, and he mentioned that maybe the WNBA should lower their rims to maybe like 9 feet so you can see the athleticism of these ladies and they could dunk. And I'm like, it's not really why, I watch basketball is to watch jokers dunk. Obviously, men's basketball, you see a lot of dunks. That's just the way it is. But women's basketball, for me, and it's just for me because he kept saying, well, you would watch if women was dunking. And here's my take. If they lowered the goal to allow women to dunk for more entertainment and viewership, it would be no different than the NBA changing their rules in 2009 to allow these jokers to travel all over the place so they can score more points. To me, it's a gimmick move, and for me, it'll ruin the game. It'll ruin the game because what have we seen? What have we seen in the NBA, college, high school from these rules changes? You've seen a lot less fundamental basketball. You've seen a lot more of people just, playing for highlights instead of playing for, your team and your coaches and everything. They just worry about making that highlight. And I don't know how much of a kick I would get out of. Listen, here's the real. People who think lowering the goals or doing these just different changes or whatnot will bring us the same exact athleticism and excitement to women's basketball that you watch when you see men's basketball and they doing these acrobatic shots and these high-flying wire acts, slam dunk contests, dunking over people, jumping over people, the athletic layup packages some of these guys have. That's just the way it is. It's nothing wrong that you don't see 90% of women basketball players doing what the men are doing. There's a reason behind that. It's a biological reason behind that. And there's nothing wrong with not having that because the game is bigger than dunks. People who just want to see dunks, they don't really care about the structure, the foundational structure of the game. They just want to be, entertained. And, once you start to lose that structure, your game starts to suffer. In 2009, the NBA changed some rules to allow more offense. They brought in the gather step, which is a travel because it's more than 2 steps. So growing up, until this day, I play basketball. As soon as I pick my dribble up, 1-2 shot. And now with the rules, they don't give you it's bullcrap, but they don't give you possession of the basketball off the dribble until you touch it with 2 hands. Which I don't understand that because if you're dribbling the ball, you got possession. So unless the gather step rule has been explained to me wrong. The gather step is basically the space of time in between your last dribble and when the ball touches your hands. Then once the ball touches your hands, you got 2 steps from that point. Or something like that. My thing was as soon as you pick up your dribble, you're in running motion, you got 2 steps. There ain't no such thing as a gather step. That's an NBA rule. That's not a middle school rule. It's not a high school rule. It's not even a college rule. So if you got rules in your league that's obsolete in all the other leagues around the world, it's still a travel in my books. I don't care if the rule was changed and they trying to tell me it's not a travel because it's in the rule book. Well, it's not a universal change. It's just an NBA change. So, yep, it's still a travel. But, you see these dudes traveling all over the place, making these, obviously athletic circus shots and stuff like that. And a lot of people see that as entertainment. More points, more entertainment. And that's not necessarily it. It doesn't necessarily work that way all the time. So instead of lowering the rims for the women's game, just develop more great basketball players. People are gonna watch either way. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter at all. People are gonna watch. So just continue to grow and develop the women's game the way it's been. You'll be fine. I don't want the basket lowered to 9 feet, and then you got women doing 360s and all of that, and then with the next argument to be, well, see, told you they could do whatever the men do. That's not necessarily true. Put it back up at 10 feet. See if they can do these same things. Basketball is meant to be played on the 10-foot goal. Only time the goal is lower than 10 feet is in the youth development, because kids can't shoot that. They don't have the strength to shoot on a 10-foot goal, so they lower the goals for the kids to develop their jump shot. I'm okay with that then, but not anything after that. No, 10-foot goal. That's the way it is. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I told you he would be with us, and he is here now. We're going to bring him on in. Rat Pack Sports Show, NBA insider himself, Mr. Nicholas Lane. What's going on, brother?
It's great to be back. Haven't been on a little bit. The regular season is ending here pretty soon. I believe it's next Sunday. The play-in tournament coming up, and we're one show away from the 6th annual Anthony Bennett All-Stars. That is going to be coming up here pretty soon as well.
I can't hear nothing over here. Hold on. All right, so let me check something here. Why can I hear?
Is that better?
Nicholas,
do I need to call back?
Let me hang up and call back in about 30 seconds. Let me reset this Skype. Skype acting up. So let me hang up and get you back. It should have audio when you come back, 'cause I don't hear nothing. It's like dead silence. I knew something was wrong when he called and there wasn't no ring. Do I have him muted or something? Nothing's muted. Okay, so let's open this thing back up and see what's going on here. So I'm getting levels. So I'm not so sure why I couldn't hear him. Like I literally can't hear him. Let me check something. All right, I think I got it now. Apparently a button got pressed on the keyboard and I couldn't hear anything. So we're gonna that was kind of loud though. That was very loud. So I'm gonna have to turn. Let's see if we got him on here now. Oh, there he is. All right, we got him here, ladies and gentlemen. Rat Pack Sports Show NBA Insider on the line with us right now, Mr. Nicholas Lane. What's going on, brother?
What is going on? It has been a little bit, but the regular season is about to be over. And the 6th annual Anthony Bennett All-Stars is one show away, Derek.
Yeah, man. I think we're going to have a good list this time around. What you think?
I got 3 that definitely will be on there. The other 2, I'm going to have to go to the lab and do some research to make sure I have it right. Most years I have not had it wrong. Names on there before, but they were for good reason. And let me tell you, Derek, the other 2 names I'm gonna have to research, but there's 3 of them on there that are right on the money, man.
Yeah, I might know a couple of them. You mentioned a few of them. In the Rat Pack group here, we might have a history in the making with another one, so we will see, man. I'm excited to see what is this stuff? Is it the 5th or the 6th year?
The 6th year.
6th year, man. 6th year we've been doing the Anthony Bennett All-Stars, and every year seems to get a little bit more interesting, a little bit better, and there's a lot of work put into this, folks. Remember, this is contract performance based by contract, so. Some of these guys, you may hear of a couple players that you might think is decent players or whatnot. Look at how much they're making, and then see why they made the Anthony Bennett All-Stars.
There's not a list like it out there.
Nope.
Derek, we have searched far and wide. There's not a list like it out there still, even to this day, and I'm quite proud of that. And it's a really fun thing to do, but also it is great to discuss it and to hope for listeners down the road to to go to a random game and be like, oh, there's Anthony Bennett, all-star Evan Fournier. I hope he gets to play tonight. And he's, we have I hope, even if there's one guy, if I overhear him some night and that happens, I will give that dude a high five, and I'll probably buy him a beer. That's how we do it here on the Rat Pack. We're not large, but we get to also take some victory laps when we get preseason predictions right. And I have 2 that I get some victory laps on here.
Yeah, man. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I said a lot to you guys. I'm not a gambler, so I don't bet. But if I did, I would probably be in a pretty good position financially, because when it comes to sports, especially with the Rat Pack, we're batting almost 9. I'm just on the low end. I'm gonna say we're batting about 900 when it comes down to predictions and getting the stories right with very little sources. So let everybody know what your preseason prediction was.
Well, the first one that I made here on the show, go back to the tapes, that the Thunder were going to win 50 games or more. They have 53 wins. They're playing Boston tonight on ESPN, but they have 53 wins at the moment. They are fighting to be in them, Minnesota, and of course Denver are fighting to be the top seed in the West. They're all within a half game of each other. To me, I see it as OKC and Denver are the class of the West, and then it's everybody else. I said preseason the Thunder would win 50 or more games, that they were ready to win 50 or more games, and that they were ready to be taken seriously. If I would have doubled down and said that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would be MVP, then at first, Derek, you would think that's really bold, but now you look at it as it's him or Jokic, really.
Yep. And sure enough, Thunder is sitting here at 52, looking like they may even get close to 60 wins. And we've been on the Thunder with their building process from the very start. And listen, this is a young team. They're all players that were drafted by the Thunder. The Thunder sitting on a boatload of more draft picks from different trades they made years back. And so I don't know, like when you want to talk about, obviously you see, players and they have the window of opportunity to, win this championship. So as young as this team is right now, they're the youngest team in the league, I think they are. And their starting 5, I think nobody's over the age of like 22, something like that, crazy number. They got a deep bench. And I think if the window was to open today and they could keep these kids together, you could be possibly looking at a 5-7 year window where you could come in at every season and say, this team is one of the favorites to win it all.
Because a lot of these teams that are contending, except for maybe Boston, and you could argue Milwaukee, but a lot of these teams contending in the West, a majority of them are in short windows. And when I say short windows, is you got the Kevin Durant's, your LeBron James of the world, and Steph Curry, of course, Draymond and Clay and Golden State. And we see how Minnesota, with Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, a resurgent Rudy Gobert. And, of course, Denver is just this really, really solid team with really good coaching and the best player in the NBA, Nikola Jokic. But with the Thunder, it kind of reminds you of the old Thunder with Durant, Westbrook, Harden, Ibaka, Perkins. I mean, you kind of had it all there. They had defensive versatility. They had enough offensive scoring as well, too, where now you see this Thunder team with better defensive versatility compared to the old Thunder teams, and you have just as good of scoring, if not better, where you can argue that Jalen Williams is roughly as good of an offensive player as a young Westbrook or a young Harden was. And then you also have a dude named Chet Holmgren who, you know, sometimes I do get it wrong on draft evaluations. I think with Chet, I got it wrong. But so far, Chet Holmgren has been much better than advertised. And you can see how a big man with so much versatility that he has, how he's going to be successful for a long time in the league, where I think the UConn center and the Purdue center that's going to come out into the draft this year, I don't think they're going to be as dominant in the league, or they're not going to be very good. Chet is just a whole different type of, you know, college center that we haven't really seen, because Wembanyama, of course, played in France. So that Thunder team had, would you say, Derek, a 5-year window, 6-year window when it came to the Thunder of Durant, Westbrook back then?
Yeah, I would say, probably about 5 or 6, like a legitimate window, yeah.
So we see how the Thunder are constructed now. I mean, Josh Giddey's only in his 3rd year. Jalen Williams is only in his 2nd year. Shea is about 25, maybe 26 is the very highest in age. You got Lou Dort, who has only been in the league about 4 or 5 years. And, of course, Chet's only in his 2nd year. Also, with all those draft picks, and as we have talked about for a number of years on the show when it comes to Thunder's flexibility, is all they've needed is 1 or 2 guys to really stand out outside of Shea, and it's happened. And now with all those draft picks going into the next years, when you have a pretty, I would say it's a fairly weak class this year. In 2025, there is one high school kid who's going to play for Duke next year that has that potential. His name is Cooper Flagg. He's a guy that you would really target in a 2025 draft. So the Thunder have all the flexibility to move up. They had the flexibility to trade him in for another big name player to go with that core. And they're in a good cap space. I mean, they did trade off Davis Bertans at the deadline for a shorter contract with Gordon Hayward. They've just done everything right. And this is what I like to pound the drum about on the show for the last while, that I call these teams blueprint teams for a reason. They're doing it right. And we're seeing the best example in the league, which is the Oklahoma City Thunder. But the second best example in the league, and this was also my second prediction that I made preseason, and Derek, you should be pumping your fist a little bit here over it. But I was saying that the Orlando Magic would not be a play-in team. They would be above being a play-in team.
Yep.
And Derek, you check the standings, I'm sure, here and there during the season.
Yep.
The Magic are tied with the Knicks, our lovable Ramrod Knicks on this show, for 4th or 5th in the East.
Yeah.
So again, another blueprint team that traded off some older veterans, got some good picks, and I think they've hit. And obviously, Paolo Banchero, of course, they hit the most, but they've hit enough. And I think they have a good enough coach. He's not a flashy guy in Jamel Mosley, but this team has a 1-2 punch. They have a guard who might not be as big and stocky as Lou Dort, but he's just as much of a bulldog perimeter defender in Jalen Suggs. I like this Orlando team. I think they're pretty frisky. They're a little versatile, but they have that scoring punch in Franz Wagner and, of course, in Paulo Banchero. We could potentially see that they could upset a team like the Knicks in the first round because, as we have talked about for a long time with this Knicks team, they have no OG Anunoby, they have no Julius Randle. They haven't played in over 2 months. And I think that the Knicks are very vulnerable in the first round. And to me, I think Orlando can beat the Knicks because they play kind of similar ball, very half court, a lot of defense. And I think that, the Knicks have a lot of defensive versatility, and so do the Magic. They would actually match up very well in a first-round series if they're the 4-5. So to me, the second blueprint team here is the Orlando Magic, and that's just because of how they have constructed their roster very conservatively, but they have hit on enough draft picks, and they still got that wild card. And Derek, you know who he is, that if he gets loose in a series, he can win you a series by himself. And his name is Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah.
Because the Knicks can throw out DiVincenzo and they can throw out Josh Hart all they want, but and they can throw out Mitchell Robinson that just came back pretty recently from ankle surgery. But you get Jonathan Isaac loose, blocking shots, getting good rebounds, getting into passing lanes and switch on defenders. I don't think the Knicks want to see Julius Randle barely come back and then have to face Jonathan Isaac in a series, because I think Isaac can really make things difficult for Julius Randle in a playoff series. That nobody talks about this. And again, this is why we are here on the Rat Pack of what we do. We see that Julius Randle will get the ball a lot, and they have the perfect guy to counter a Julius Randle, I think, in a playoff series, and his name is Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah, Isaac, early on in his career, now he's still young, but, early on he had some injury history and missed a lot of time, due to injuries, but he was always, one of those guys that was going to be a piece of that core. Even though he was injured and stuff, they still made sure that he was a part of that roster, and I'm sure teams acquired about him, maybe in the trade possibility, and they said no, we'll give you the other guy, and that's what happened. So we'll see, man. It's exciting though. It's definitely exciting as a lifelong Lightning. I mean, not Lightning fan, but Lightning, Magic, long-time Magic fan. It's good to see them do it the right way. So when you do it the right way, that window open up. It's a lot larger than some of these other teams that are going out there trying to buy their way through to championships. So
I think the exact opposite of what you just said about how other teams are trying to go about it, besides the Thunder and the Magic. The number one team that comes to mind is in Phoenix. They are the definition of top heavy. I don't think that they're going to be able to be very sustainable in a playoff series. Could they win the first round? Yeah, because they could surprise a Minnesota potentially, or maybe they can stop Zion enough to beat New Orleans. But to be honest with you, I feel that this Phoenix team Golden State and the Lakers. The three of them, they have all the star power, they have all the media attention, but at the end of the day, I would say a majority of these teams are not going to be very serious contenders. And, newsflash, I think Golden State is not going to make it out of the play-in. That's what I believe. I don't think they're good enough to get out of the play-in. We have seen it for years that at least LeBron can carry the Lakers. I mean, they got swept in the Western Conference Finals last year, but they were obviously very improbable. And, they broke my Undertaker streak, so I take this a little serious. But I'll tell you that I don't think the Warriors are going to make it out of the play-in. I think Phoenix is good enough to obviously get out of the play-in, but I don't think Golden State is. I really don't see it with them in a do-or-die situation. I think Sacramento is slightly better in a one-game situation than Golden State is. And, of course, Phoenix and LA, they have just enough, I think, that is better than Golden State.
Yeah, speaking of Golden State, Draymond Green. I'm sure you saw the video clip of Steph Curry looking like he was probably, fighting back tears when Draymond got ejected. What? At this point, what do you do to try to keep this man, somewhat under control?
Well, he's really one of their few ways for them to even have a chance, because otherwise, Golden State is not really a good defensive team without him. And this is Draymond and not, of course, prime Draymond, what he has been before. Now, I do trust Draymond in the playoff series, and I do trust Draymond to disrupt and be still really good in a playoff setting. I think he does struggle in a regular season, just a long season, and he's kind of bored. He wants to punch people. He wants to kick them in the stomach or whatever he's going to do. But I think in the playoffs, that's where he has always shined in his career the most. But they need him. He is the reason why that they could maybe get out of the play-in, but I don't see it. But because I just think that this Golden State team is in a lot of trouble. They're not well constructed. They don't have a lot of size. They'll have to rely a lot on Trayce Jackson-Davis, their rookie or their second-year player. It's one of the two, but they're gonna have to rely on him for big minutes because Draymond is a loose cannon, but also they just don't. I mean, Kevon Looney is like concrete bricks running up and down the floor, and that worked maybe against Cleveland back in like 2016, 2015 range, but it doesn't work anymore. That's why you don't see Kevon Looney playing hardly at all, because it's just not right to play him. I just don't see how the Warriors can be taken seriously. I think the Lakers have a lot of depth issues as well. And in a playoff series, that will come to fruition because, guys like Hachimura and Taurean Prince, D'Angelo Russell, and even as much as I like Austin Reeves, these guys are really not good defenders. Maybe Taurean Prince, but that's about it. Gabe Vincent he's not going to play this year. It just seems to me that the Lakers have too much of an uphill climb in order to even get back to where they were in the Western Conference Finals. What do you think about that, Derek?
Well, Let me buy now a vowel for 500. No, let me stop. Let me repeat the question so I make sure I got it all. I might have missed a few pieces. I was reading something.
Well, what I was saying is, outside of Davis and LeBron, of course they got Austin Reeves. I do still think that he's their third best player.
Yeah.
But guys like Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell, Torian Prince, like a Jackson Hayes. I mean, they have to rely on these guys for real minutes in a series or multiple play-in games.
Yeah.
They had a miraculous run last year that was very unexpected. And I just don't think that LeBron and AD, even playing great, can get them in a serious conversation here. And I think it's more to do with the rest of the guys that are on this roster, that nobody is really defensive dudes.
Yeah. Lakers are in a situation here that won't improve until LeBron retires. Because we said it a whole bunch of times. They gave up too much. Didn't get enough back in return. And you look around the league. You see all the players that the Lakers gave up after LeBron came back from Miami. Just look around the league. The Lakers got some players that they drafted into their organization, playing for other teams and putting up big numbers. So that's something they got to figure out to find that balance, because LeBron James is gonna obviously garner a huge chunk of money for his services. You do have AD, who's I would say he's not old, but he's not young either. But he's a lot younger than LeBron. If they had the right pieces in place, you could build that team around, AD, and you'll probably still be okay. But the problem is, over these next few years, you don't have much a whole lot of anything coming as far as help wise. When you're looking at the draft, they don't have any draft picks. So, I mean, how do you get better? Obviously, you do it through the draft. That's the major part. And then if the draft don't work, then you do it through free agency. But you can't do it through free agency because you ain't got the money, because it's tied all up in the run. You got, tied up in the AD. Austin Reeves, he's a very good basketball player. I said it, and I'm the biggest LeBron James critic you'll ever find. But I know what I'm watching when I watch basketball, and I think that Lakers team offensively is a lot better when he's not on the back doing the heavy work.
Their offense runs a lot smoother when LeBron doesn't have to do everything.
Yeah.
And I know that's obviously where you're getting.
Yeah, and he don't, we know, okay, they say LeBron is their ultimate team player. I've never seen nobody criticize him, personally as a teammate, so we're going to go with that. You also, hear the stories and things like that of his leadership. But, when the but comes, some real noise about to get started. But I'm not sure how much of a leader he is. And the reason I say that is, Over the last, 3 years, there's been some stuff happening, man. And I don't know. It just don't sit right with me, and it makes it look like, the Lakers don't have no control over what LeBron does.
To me, I think a lot of the Lakers, the reason why I don't consider the Lakers a real title contender or even a contender in the West, I think it's just because they're supporting cast and what they had to spend their money on. Obviously, they had no choice because, as you said, they did re-sign D'Angelo Russell, and of course they gave Austin Reeves, I think a really fair contract, but they overpaid D'Angelo Russell and they didn't trade him at the deadline, which was really weird. It didn't make a lot of sense, and you with LeBron and AD sucking up a lot of your cap space, you don't have a lot of options unless players are going to take significantly less, and getting a Taurean Prince and a Gabe Vincent that hasn't played this year, Jackson Hayes, who's a third stringer at best, maybe. They just, Hachimura is more of an offensive dude. He's not a defensive guru or genius, or he's not that player. He never has been. I just think a lot of the problems stem that the Lakers don't have enough perimeter defense. They have good interior defense because of course, Anthony Davis, but outside of that, they don't have good interior defense. LeBron, of course, can be very aggressive defensively at times when he needs to be, which is scary for a lot of opponents, and it's how I see it. But they're not a well-rounded built team. They're obviously a very top-heavy team, and that's why we talk about how the Thunder and the Nuggets are easily the best teams out west. There's no question about it. There's no doubt about it, because they are the most well-rounded, well-balanced teams in the West. Even Sacramento. I mean, Sacramento's pretty good offensively, but they're horrendous defensively. So, to me, when if the Lakers had a guy like Lou Dort, then we would not be having this discussion. That's why a guy like a Lou Dort is so important. And for the fact that the Lakers didn't make a deal at the deadline is just absolutely baffling to me. Why put all this strain on LeBron every year when you've been trying to promise him that you're going to get him enough help? Well, I hate to break it to you, but he just turned 39 in December, and he's gonna be carrying the load again in these play-in and games in the playoff series. It's remarkable because he's not hurt very often or seriously hurt, but it's a disservice to giving yourselves a real chance.
Yeah. I would agree with you on that. The best opportunity is the one that's taken, not necessarily the one that's not. So you got to get yourself in position to allow for that, to allow for that to do what it, it do, man. So I think, I think at the end of the day, talking about all this, I think the Lakers going to probably be in the same position next year. I think my Magic will climb up to about third place in the East. Banchero will continue to develop and grow as the basketball player he's shown he can be. And
you have no argument for me about the Magic. I mean, you could make an argument that they can make a series with the Sixers, even with a slower Joel Embiid that barely just came back. But I think they can make a series with the Sixers. I would actually not be shocked that it could be like that Hawks series from a few years ago when the Hawks beat the Sixers, and of course Ben Simmons, was out of town, and the Hawks went to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think that you could see that happening, where the Magic could play the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's a possibility. If the Magic get to the 3rd seed, then it's a real possibility. Because we have seen the Bucks are unpredictable because they lost to the Heat last year. And yeah, they got Damian Lillard now, but we have seen the ups and downs of this Milwaukee team. But Boston is clearly in leaps and bounds. Like, yeah, they're a little bit better record-wise than Milwaukee right now, but I think overall as a team, Boston is leaps and bounds above everybody in the East, and I think that's pretty. There's not much of a discussion there. Would you think so?
Yep. And
Derek,
I
can
think,
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. And I think the Magic. Now you got me on this one, man. I mean, Philadelphia is tough. They definitely are. Embiid has been out. I think he's due to come back here in the next few days to a week, and
he's actually back. He played against OKC.
Oh, he did?
Yeah,
okay.
He's actually.
All right. So I mean, Magic 44-31, Philly 41-35. Magic's been there all season. Like, obviously, Philadelphia's had their, issues with the injury bug and stuff like that. But, Magic is younger. They've been healthier all season. And they're a team that's determined to continue, the process, as they would say, with, Philadelphia. So, I'm not gonna doubt you, Nicholas, because you usually be spot on. So if you think the Magic could take the 76ers even with Embiid, because Embiid won't be at 100%, and he'll probably not in game condition. So it'd be a good matchup.
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if it's if it would be a close series, or if the Magic pulled it out, because the Magic do have Wendell Carter Jr. He can get out to the 3-point line and at least challenge Embiid. Embiid would probably dominate him on the boards, but I do think that, Embiid does have the advantage that he can roam the perimeter and he can hit the three. But I do think Wendell at least can give him a challenge. It's not going to be easy for him. Maybe inside it would be, but not outside. I believe that Wendell is actually pretty good, but the Magic kind of match up well with them. You put Jalen Suggs on Maxey an entire series, Maxey's going to get really fed up and frustrated, because he is, Jalen Suggs is a bulldog defensively on the perimeter. That's what he's really known for. I mean, I know he's scoring better than he has before, but the dude is an absolute bulldog on the perimeter defensively. So, and that could go well with playing against Tyler Hero in a Miami series. So the Magic have just because they're the Magic doesn't mean they're going to be, a doorstop in the playoffs. I think if the Knicks can't get, Anunoby and Randall back in time, or they're not in really good shape, the Knicks are toast. For any TV personality to say that the Knicks can be taken seriously is a joke. It's a laughing stock, in my opinion, for, of course, many reasons we've discussed for so long. But I think this Magic team that nobody talks about, of course, because they're the Magic, that they do need to be taken, I think, seriously.
Yeah. I mean, you sitting in the fourth seed, in the East, coming from where they coming from. Yeah, you definitely got to take them serious because they earned that right to be, in that position.
I mean, outside of Boston being the class of the East, and Milwaukee being obviously a step below Boston, but better than everybody else, I think those are the two front runners. But if you were to tell me that Miami and Orlando are your dark horses in the East, I would completely agree with you. I just don't think outside of Maxey and Embiid, Tobias Harris is enough of a third option to tell me that Philly can beat Milwaukee in a series. I just don't see it. And that's why, even though Milwaukee is not as good as Boston at all, they probably will get to the Eastern Conference Finals, not by default, but because they got to go to the other side of the bracket. Miami, of course, gives them a lot of fits. But Miami is different than they were last year. They're still good, and they're still going to be a tough out, but I firmly believe that Milwaukee can beat Miami this year because of those those supporting guys like your Gabe Vincents and your Max Struses are not on Miami this year. And for Miami to have to rely on Duncan Robinson, yeah, he's this great shooter, and he's had a resurgent year. He's been an Anthony Bennett All-Star, and he's not an Anthony Bennett All-Star. See, this is what people on the show, they think I'm lazy by picking the same guys every year. Duncan Robinson played himself off of the list because he was on the list because he was so bad last year. But this year he's not. He's been good. He's obviously been given a lot of minutes because there's been so many injuries, of course, in Miami this season. But he's earned a spot off the team. So he's a guy that I have to replace and find another, of course, research another name. But to go back to Miami is that you have playoff Jimmy and Bam Adebayo, and of course, Tyler Hero. They have some guys like, Duncan Robinson and Caleb Martin. They're okay. Jaime Jaquez, they're all right. But I think a lot of Strus and Vincent had to do with the supporting guys getting through those rounds, especially with no Tyler Hero for most of the playoff run.